What in the world?
This being Renan territory, I was prepared for a lot of things to look different. But this is a bit more than I anticipated.
The very foundations of the city have shifted. What could have caused this?
When Lenegis changed shape, it must have had an effect on the interior too.
Maybe when they sent the wedge down to Dana?
But they wouldn't move around the places where people live. These are their homes, right?
I would think the citizens themselves didn't have much say in the matter. Either way, locating the Forbidden Zone just became that much trickier.
Dohalim? Is that you?
Avakir, I'm glad to see you're well.
So it is you! But why are you here? Shouldn't you be down on Dana participating in the crown contest? And these people!
So you haven't heard what happened on Dana, then?
Heard what?
Someone you know?
An old friend.
Hey, Dohalim, don't tell me you've started keeping company with...
They're with me. More importantly, what's happened here?
I'm really not sure. The city's foundations began to shift without warning, and now everything looks like this. We're all waiting for the Sovereign to tell us what's happening, but so far...
Avakir, listen to me. We're looking for the Forbidden Zone. Do you have any idea where we might find it?
The Forbidden Zone? What business could you possibly have there?
Trust me. The less you know, the better.
You're just the same as ever. I wish I could help, but what with the changed topography, I can barely locate my own home. Let alone the Forbidden Zone.
Very well. It looks like we'll have to find the way there ourselves.
Have you seen Faria yet?
No.
I see. Well, nothing much has changed with her. If anything, she's probably even more...
I can well imagine.
Why did you come back? You know it can only result in pain for you both.
I've no doubt of that.
You really are the same as ever. Fine, I understand. Just don't say I didn't warn you. And take care of yourself. Okay, Doe?
So who's Faria?
Law?
If what Avakir said is true, it would seem the people of Lenegis are being kept in the dark about what's happening down on Dana.
They seem to be just as clueless about what's going on up here in their own world. Despite the fact that it's actually here that the wedge originally came from.
We need more information. Let's talk to the citizens, see what we can find out.
While we're at it, we can ask them about the Red Woman, too.
And don't forget about finding the way to the Forbidden Zone either.
Let's leave the talking to Shion. We can't have a bunch of Danans poking their noses around.
Good idea. I think that's for the best.
I shall assist.
You sure?
Being a lord on Lenegis has its advantages.
Right. Then we'll leave it to you two. The Danans among us should probably keep our heads down.
What if people freak out?
I shall explain it away by saying I'm leading you.
What are we, dogs?
What could be so important? It's worth destroying people's livelihoods and homes in the process. It's just... unbelievable. Uprooting an entire city as if it were mere building blocks. Someone's got an awful lot of questions to answer.
From how it looks, they must be siphoning off astral energy from Dana, and then
But why do all this? What for? Surely they can't be using all that...
Whatever their purpose, disrupting their siphoning process alone won't be sufficient. Not while we still...
He's right. We need to stop this from happening
This Forbidden Zone might be where we find some answers, right? So what are we waiting for?
You heard him. We don't have time to stop and...
So, I've been wondering, do you think when Lenegus was built, it was even made with people living here in mind?
What do you mean?
Well, none of this happened by coincidence, right? They must have designed it to transform like this. But then, if they knew people were going to live here, you'd think they would have taken that into consideration.
Ordinarily, trust me, as far as we were concerned, Lenegus was our home, nothing more. No one... It makes you wonder whether the city was just built on as an
Sorry.
Not at all. Sometimes it takes an outsider's eye to help you notice this place is a mystery, that's for sure. Something tells me...
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, dear me. What an unspeakable mess this has all become. Just look. Whatever did we do to
You really have no clue what might have...
Would that I have. Alas, there was no warning, We have no choice, but do my eyes deceive me? Could I really be standing in the presence of his lordship, Dohalim of the House Il? I believed he was...
Your eyes do not deceive you. It is I, one and the same. I have returned to fulfill a special duty. The details...
As your lordship wishes. First, Lenegus mutates beyond recognition. Now this unexpected visit. The Ilkaris house has produced a great many lords over the centuries. I shall be praised.
Your good wishes do me an honor.
Everything will be okay now.
I know the basics of healing arts, but my skills pale in comparison.
Your lordship! Oh, what a great honor it is to finally meet you. I descended to Dana during the last crown contest also. I witnessed the deaths of...
Indeed.
Sorry to interrupt, but we're looking for a woman dressed all in red. Have you seen...
All red, eh? No, I can't say I remember any...
Yeah. What about down on Dana during the crown contest? You didn't see anyone like that hanging around? On the Lord you were serving?
What's with all these questions? I've never seen her, okay? Not recently or otherwise. Why do you want to find her anyway?
Never mind. Forget I asked. Sorry to take up your time. Is everything okay? You look a little lost.
Oh, yes. I can't seem to find my way home is all. I was just about to make my umpteenth attempt at a new route.
I was hoping to head this way myself. The situation is a real pain, huh?
I suppose the Sovereign knows best. I daren't stay here too long, though. A lower caste can only linger around these parts for so long before I outstay my welcome. I was hoping to avoid it, but maybe I'll have to go that way after.
You mean you know another way round?
Lord Dohalim Ilkaris! But how? Last I heard, you were in Dana competing in the crown cup.
Yes, strange, isn't it? If you know another route, we'd be grateful if you could tell us.
But of course. Please forgive me. There's a wall that sprung up ahead of here, with what looks to be an entrance in it. I thought maybe it was a passageway between the different quarters, but I've no way of knowing for sure.
It's worth investigating. I shall go and assess the situation. In the meantime, wait for me here. If it looks safe, I'll come and let you know.
You'd really do that for me? A lord troubling himself for someone of my lowly status?
Our lot in life is of little consequence. We are both Renan, first and foremost.
Oh, why yes, my lord. Thank you.
Well, we've canvassed the city for information. What do you think?
No one has the faintest idea what's happened to the city after all. They haven't heard the news.
You'd think that info would easily find its way up here.
Not to this extent, which would indicate that something's suppressing the truth. That Lennick...
Given everything that's happened to their city, the people here seem weirdly...
Yeah, that one guy even said Zoogle had stopped listening to him. If that's true, these people are in...
Everything that happens here is attributed to the Sovereign's will. It's the way people have been conditioned. Nothing happens devoid of a reason. To them, it's all part of...
The Sovereign's plan. There is one thing I'm still not sure about. Just who is this
The Sovereign, of course. He rules from Rena while presiding over both Rena and Len...
Without the lords or anyone in the middle doing his dirty work? That's a pretty big dominion for one person to rule over. I would have thought ruling Lennigus alone...
The points you make are valid, though I confess I'd never given it much thought before. Here, the Sovereign's total authority is as Nat. Come to think of it, I know nothing of the nature of how... Shion, have you ever been... No, forgive me. Have you met or crossed paths with, or even heard of someone who's actually made a visit to the homeland?
No.
Neither have I. In which case, I would imagine that... But no, surely not. Can it really be that no citizen of Lennigus has...
Hold up, what are you getting?
Assuming what I believe to be correct, it's possible that no one on Lennigus has ever laid eyes on the actual Renan homeworld itself. No one but the Sovereign.
But what about trade and communication? There's got to be a flow back and forth.
Not if the Sovereign is imposing his will on Lennigus single-handedly. It could be a one-way...
But I thought you said that the Sovereign's all the way over on Rena. If that's the case, can he really rule directly over Lennigus? What if something were to happen to the city?
I'm beginning to wonder what the nature of this Sovereign even is. Alphen said he was forced into the role, right? But Sovereign is also the title given to the almighty Renan ruler.
Whoever wins the crown contest inherits the throne from his or her predecessor, before becoming ruler over all of Rena. Thereafter, that individual is known as the Sovereign. Though, as for how Volron factors into all this, at this point, I no longer know what...
3 centuries ago, I became the Sovereign here on Lennigus. No, not just became, I was forced to. 300 years later, we crossed paths with Volron, who also... That's not the only thing we have in common. We both became sovereign without...
Do you think Volron was made sovereign for the same reason?
I can't say for sure, but it's...
But that would mean that two sovereigns would need to exist at any one time. One whose job it is to rule, and the other for We never did see Volron's body back in Ganeth Hera. Is a new ceremony underway with Volron at its center this time? Could that be what's causing all this strain?
Wait a second. You don't think Volron and the Red Woman are working to... The ceremony can't go forward without the Renis Alma. The same one that...
There's something else the ceremony needs. A maiden. And unless there's another one out there aside...
Questions, questions, and yet more questions. One...
If the Forbidden Zone really is off-limits to everyone but the Sovereign, that seems as good a place as any to start.
Then it's decided.
One of the citizens mentioned a passage that she thought might lead to another section of the city. Let's go find it! I didn't realize Renan's oppressed...
And yet, weirdly, none of them seem to mind. Am I the only one who...
It is the way things have always been, so no one thinks to question it. You have experience in that regard yourself.
Unquestioning acceptance of your own servitude.
Even so, the quality of life here seems much higher than any... I used to think it was impossible to build an ideal society without wealth. But I suppose having it doesn't always mean people are treated...
More to the point, not a single citizen seems to have even heard...
What if she's not here? What if it turns out we're looking in the wrong...
It's still too early to say.
For all we know, she might be able to blend in, move around unnoticed. I say we hold off judgment and...
With nobody left to run the show. I mean, there's sovereigns up on the Renin homeworld.
But Dohal... Only current acting lords have power. Renin society is quite strict.
Even if the other lords were still around, I doubt they'd be able to do...
I wonder what they'd think if they were here to... Balsif, Ganabelt, Almadria. Now that I think of it, aside from Dohalim, we know next to nothing about...
Well, yeah, why to us Danins, they were just enemies we needed to...
I know. But seeing Renins in their own city, going about their day-to-day...
It feels strange to imagine the lords living here...
Yeah.
If you're that curious about them, why not try inquire? Every lord in their household has their share, and luckily for us, the people here are unaware of the events on Dana, which means that...
Tell me, Dohalim, has that skill of yours got a name?
And what skill would this...
You know, when you're talking to people around town. The way they suddenly become...
I'm afraid I don't quite follow.
I do. It's called friendly intimidate. Look imposing and speak in a deep, booming voice, and presto, you'll have people rap...
I would never stoop to such scandalous tricks. Any feelings of intimidation are solely in the...
So there is a knack to it! How do you learn it?
Now you've got me curious. Is there special training to master?
Let's see. An obsession with being elegant is a must. Oh, and it helps to be old-fashioned, too. Bonus points if you speak in a way no one can understand.
If you've a bone to pick with me, it'd be quicker to just come out and...
What? They look up to you, that's all.
Hey! What's got into Alvin and Law all of a sudden?
I can barely understand a word they're saying. And what's with the weird poses? Was it something...
I hope you're willing to take the blame for the...
I wasn't expecting them to take me so seriously.
Yes!
Yes!
Balsef had it in him to care about someone other than himself? Really?
It's possible. A change in position can do much to alter one's perspective.
So even he might have had something he...
I guess she intended to spread it throughout all of Lenegis then.
Good thing the lines were down so she couldn't.
It almost sounded like she was praising them, too.
Maybe there was more to the guy than at first glance.
I shall refrain from commenting.
What?
Ganabelt was so horrible to people. Yet he was invested in helping Rena succeed. Doesn't that seem just a little inconsistent?
I'm perhaps biased in this matter, I admit. However, in my mind, while all lords vie to become the next sovereign, they're also meant to serve as guardians of all of Rena.
It seems like Ganabelt also had people he cared about until the very end.
So why couldn't he extend that to us Danans?
This area doesn't look as badly damaged as that other district we went through.
Indeed, the effects of
Pardon me.
I guess her willingness to stoop to any load came from a survival of the fittest worldview.
And some people here not only shared her belief, but championed it as morally right too.
That doesn't make it true.
Ridiculous. Okay. Ah!
Seems like the people on Lenegis don't really know much about Volron either.
I remember being quite surprised when the Lord of Ganeth Harros changed so abruptly.
Didn't you have any doubts that something suspicious was going on?
On the contrary. Remember, we Renans are raised to accept everything at face value.
When you think about it, the families of Renan lords must see them differently.
Yeah, despite the brutality
They must have had a lot on their shoulders, carrying...
Renans live in a world where strength and power determine their position in the social hierarchy. but their loyalty to their people is also strong. It's what brings them together against outside forces, and nothing exemplifies...
That's what makes them the guardians of all of Renner, so to speak.
Right. It's the same reason Balsif hated my guts, and Ganabelt went after you.
Guess that makes you an even bigger oddball than we thought.
So, Alphen, have you gained anything from all...
Yeah. I think it's made me realize that the Lords were all people. Balsif and the others, they all had their own circumstances to deal with as they went through life.
Yeah, but still, just because they had
I know. What they did was horrible, but at the same time, they weren't incomprehensible monsters either. So I guess...
You're saying that they weren't bad because they were Renans, or because they were terrible monsters. Even if they did terrible things?
Rinwell.
Am I wrong?
Not at all.
Being a Danon doesn't make you a good person. And being a Red, I think that's something we...
Shion and Dohalim definitely make a good case.
And I'm going to keep doing my best to make sure I earn that trust. As a fellow human...